to solve is to find the maximum number of zeros that lie between two ones. For number 9, as you'll see, there's 2 zeros between the ones. 529, there's 4 and 3. 4 is bigger than 3. 20, there's only 1. With the remaining zeros trailing, that means there's no 1 at the end. So 1 is the largest number there. Number 15, there's only 4 ones, no zeros. 32 has a trailing 0, so there's no 1, no gap. And the remaining number, 1041, there's 5 and 3. So our largest number for that is 5. Now that we've accomplished the very first thing in solving this problem, which is understanding what it's asking us to find, we move on to the second part, recognizing that there will be numbers that will not have gaps, and thinking ahead as to how we will write the code so that it will pass all the possible number scenarios or test cases that are used in a performance test. In this first example, the code isn't written properly as to account for trailing zeros, so it didn't pass the test for the number 32, as its binary code is 100000. But real quick, I'm going to interject and say that at this point in the video, I'm not going over the code yet. I'm simply explaining 2 scenarios of problems you may encounter writing your own code. In example 2, in my attempt to fix the error for the trailing zeros of number 32, I messed up 1041. And that, my friends, is simply what everyone deals with learning to code. Hopefully it just makes you work the problem all that much harder. Trial and error helps us learn, well, that and a tenacious spirit. Now that we're at the coding part of this video, would you believe that this problem can be solved with just 1 line of code? I don't know about you, but when I learned that, it just blew me away. But then again, this is coming off the heels of me taking an entire week just to figure it out when Codility has this lesson marked painless. Yikes. Let's get on with it, shall we? What I'm going to do is show you 2 examples of code for this problem, and I'm going to do my best to be brief as we are stretching into 3 minutes at this point already. So for the longer version of code, we first turn the number into a binary string. Notice I said string, not an integer. You could use the bin function already in Python to change the number, but it won't be a string, and you would have to change it over with another line of code, which starts to complicate things. So let's just avoid that and get it formatted correctly from the start. Next, since we are ultimately looking for the max gap and we don't know what that is yet, we set it to 0 right now. We also don't know the accumulation of all the zeros yet, so we put that at 0 too. This is our counter. Now we are going to loop through the string and count off all the zeros. The accumulator with a plus equal sign of 1 is our counter. The elif statement below is for the ones in the string. At this point, it resets the count of zeros between the ones, and the accumulated zeros between the ones now have counts, and the max gap gets reassigned as the bigger number, and the accumulator becomes 0. Since it is only counting between the ones, we don't need to worry about trailing zeros, and if the if statement above only counts the zeros, so that takes care of binary numbers that consist of only ones. Also, you cannot use the else statement, but the else if or elif statement. The next example is that wondrous one-liner I talked about before, and I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I read and heard rumblings about the split function, but I wasn't too sure how it worked. Looking at it here, working from left to right, using len to cover the length of the string, max returns the largest or greatest amount of zeros. Here we are again at formatting the number to a binary string. Next to the strip function, which isolates the zeros, and then the split function splits it apart at the ones. The max at the beginning of the line of code will return the count of the section with the largest number of zeros. Pretty simple, right? Or should I say painless? I can't speak for you, but it was pretty painful for me. Well, I hope you found this video helpful. Thanks for watching,